Imagine you're sitting at your desk on a Sunday evening, that familiar, heavy pit forming in your stomach because Monday morning is looming. You're staring at a spreadsheet or a stack of emails, and you think to yourself, there has to be more to life than this. You hop on social media and see a creator filming from a beach in Bali, telling their followers that they just quit their corporate job to pursue their love for artisanal candle making. The caption reads, "Follow your passion and the money will follow." You feel a spark of hope. You think about your own hobby. Maybe it's photography, baking, or coding indie games. And you start to believe that the only reason you aren't rich and happy is that you're trapped in a job you don't love. You're certain that if you just had the courage to leap, the universe would provide a net made of gold coins. Most of us have been sold the idea that passion is the primary fuel for wealth, but we rarely stop to consider that turning your escape into your paycheck is often the fastest way to kill both your hobby and your bank account. Hi, welcome to the show. Today, we reveal the hidden mechanics of why follow your passion is risky financial advice. Passion doesn't always pay the bills. If you're someone who wants to understand how money really works, make sure to subscribe and like this video if it helps you. Look, here's the thing we need to address right out of the gate. The market does not care what you love. The market only cares about the value you provide. It's a common financial assumption that passion leads to excellence, and excellence leads to money. But the reality is far more cold and mathematical. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 20% of small businesses fail in their first year, and 50% fail by year 5. When you dig into why, it's rarely a lack of passion. In fact, most of these founders are too passionate. They love their product so much, they ignore the fact that there isn't enough market demand to support their dream lifestyle. They've been given the advice to follow their heart, but they never learned how to read a balance sheet. Let's look at the math, because this is where it gets really interesting. Most people think that doing what they love will feel like less work, so they'll do more of it and get rich. But let's run the concrete numbers for a passion business, like opening a boutique coffee shop because you love the vibe of cafes. You spend $150,000 on a build-out and high-end espresso machines. Your average profit per cup is about $1.20 after all costs. To just pay a modest $4,000 monthly rent and $6,000 in labor, you need to sell over 8,300 cups a month. That's 277 cups every single day just to break even at zero profit. What most people don't realize is that when your passion becomes a math problem you're losing, you stop loving the coffee and start hating the customers who aren't buying enough of it. Here's where the psychology shifts, and this is what most people don't realize. When a hobby is a choice, it's a source of dopamine. When a hobby is a requirement for your mortgage payment, it becomes a source of cortisol. Psychologists call this the over-justification effect. If you take an intrinsically motivated activity, something you do for fun, and you attach a high-stakes external reward to it, like your survival, your brain actually starts to find the activity less enjoyable. You're no longer a photographer capturing beauty, you're a service provider chasing invoices, dealing with bridezillas, and spending 90% of your time on SEO and taxes rather than clicking the shutter. To a passion seeker, the reality of business is a bucket of cold water on a warm dream. Now, you might be thinking, but Finn, what about Steve Jobs or Elon Musk? They followed their passion. I hear you, but here's where the survivorship bias trap comes in. We only hear the stories of the people who followed their passion and won. We don't hear the stories of the 10,000 talented musicians currently living in their cars or the brilliant painters working 3 jobs just to buy canvas. Look, passion is a luxury of the successful, not always the roadmap to success. Most of the truly wealthy people I know didn't follow their passion, they followed the opportunity. They found a boring problem that people were willing to pay a lot of money to solve, solved it efficiently, and then used the massive profits to fund their passions on the weekend. Here's where it gets really interesting. The skill-to-passion pipeline is actually inverted. We tend to become passionate about things we are exceptionally good at. Think about it. When you're the best in the room at a specific task, even if it's something boring like tax law or supply chain logistics, the world rewards you with status, autonomy, and high pay. Those rewards create a feedback loop of satisfaction. You don't need to start with a burning love for spreadsheets to end up passionate about a career that gives you a $300,000 salary and 4 weeks of vacation. This is called self-determination theory. You need competence, autonomy, and relatedness. You can find that in many non-passion fields that actually pay the bills. Let's look at the story of the starving artist versus the practical engineer. The artist spends $80,000 on a degree because they love art. They graduate into a crowded market where supply far exceeds demand. They spend the next 10 years struggling. The engineer chooses a field with a high barrier to entry and high demand. They might not love thermodynamics, but by age 30, they have a paid-off home and a $200,000 investment portfolio. This is the opportunity cost of passion. By choosing the love path, you often sacrifice the compound interest that could have made you financially independent by 45. The engineer can retire early and paint for the rest of his life. The artist often has to paint things they hate just to pay the electric bill at 70. This is a story we see over and over again. Money doesn't care about your feelings. It follows the path of least resistance to the most value. If you want to be rich, you have to look at where the economic rent is. You have to find the hard things. Passion is usually easy. Everyone wants to be a travel influencer or a video game streamer. Because everyone wants to do it, the pay is pushed towards zero. But very few people want to be a commercial underwater welder or a specialized cybersecurity auditor. Because those things are hard and boring, the pay is pushed towards the moon. So, how do we actually fix this? How do you find a career that doesn't make you miserable but actually builds wealth? The first actionable step is the Ikigai audit, with a heavy emphasis on the what the world will pay for quadrant. Don't ask, what do I love? Ask, what am I good at that people are currently desperate for? You want to find the intersection of your natural aptitudes and market scarcity. If you're a great communicator, don't just follow your passion for poetry. Go into high-end enterprise sales, where that skill is worth $500,000 a year. Actionable step number 2, build a passion sidecar, not a passion engine. Keep your day job as the stable, high-output engine that provides the capital. Use that capital to fund your passion as a side project without the pressure of it needing to pay for your groceries. This allows you to maintain the pain of paying at a low level. You can take risks, be creative, and actually enjoy the hobby because your survival isn't tied to it. If the side project eventually grows to 2x your salary, then you can consider making the switch, but you do it with a financial moat already in place. What most people don't realize is that follow your passion is often a marketing slogan used to sell expensive degrees and lifestyle courses to people who are unhappy. It's an emotional band-aid for a structural problem. Rich people who stay rich understand that work is a trade of time for capital, and capital is the tool that buys you the freedom to do whatever you're passionate about. They see the math of the 70-30 rule. Spend 70% of your time doing what pays the most and 30% of your time doing what you love most. Eventually, the 70% builds enough wealth that the ratio flips. The revelation here is that why follow your passion is risky financial advice is a lesson in leverage. Passion doesn't always pay the bills, but value always does. You need the psychological fortitude to do the boring, profitable work first so you can afford the exciting, unprofitable work later. When you stop chasing the dream and start chasing the demand, you actually find a deeper level of satisfaction. You find the pride of being a high-value individual who is compensated fairly for their skills. Take control of your career path today. Don't wait for a passion to strike you like lightning. Start tracking which skills are in high demand, understand where the capital is flowing in the economy, and learn to master the hard things that others shy away from. Because if you build a life based on value first and passion second, you'll end up with enough money to fund your dreams and enough peace of mind to actually enjoy them. Take action. Build the value, decode the money. Money explained.